Jeff Russell, thank you for jumping on here with me, man. I really appreciate it. Jeff, we've had the pleasure of working together for a few years now. And I feel like the more that I get to work with you, the more I admire you, the more that I respect and look up to like what you do as a real estate professional, not only with, the business you created back in the last crash and being a real staple in the REO space, but even now, like as shifts continue to happen in the market, you've just been incredible in aligning your work and your effort with the right market. And this one rings true as well. So an honor to jump on here and speak with you, man.
Well, thank you. But actually, I think it's going on 6 years now, actually. Time
Wow.
flies.
It does fly. Well, it flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, yeah. And I got to tell you, it is fun here at EXP. I freaking love it.
Yeah, the collaboration is very different, right? Like you and I wouldn't have the pleasure of getting such good information from you consistently without this model. It just
Right.
breeds that level of like people having a vested interest in each other. It's hard to explain, but people need to come here and experience it for themselves, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Jeff, kind of tapping into some of your recent changes, recent meaning like in the last 9 months, a year, somewhere in that range. As the market continued to shift, you were experiencing something that was a little different for you, right? You were starting to
Right.
feel a little bit of that dip in production. I think a lot of people are feeling that. Now, your dip is like from way, way up here to maybe a little bit down, but either way, like everyone is experiencing that when there's just less transactional volume. What I appreciate about you, though, Jeff, is that you did something about it immediately. So, would you mind sharing with everyone, like what was happening in the business and what some of those shifts were?
Okay. So, but how far back do you want me to go?
No, just whatever makes sense for you.
Um, well, I don't know if you want me to go back to the REO days or if you want me to just keep it within the last 6 years.
Whatever you like, man.
Okay. So I guess just I'll briefly touch on the REO days because that's when I was, I had 180, 190 active listings, meaning you're in MLS and you're clicking through page after page after page. And man, there's a really cool feeling about that, right? And then I was closing about 25 to 30 a month.
Wow.
These were all like 99% REO. This was back in 2009. So I said, I'll just briefly touch on it. When the REO stopped, because when I got into real estate, I got into REO because I was a lender, right?
Mm.
Full-time lender, went over to doing I was licensed as a realtor, as a lender, because we were a correspondent lender. Then I went over to REO, listing broker, just almost overnight in 2007 because of having my real estate license and some of the connections I had in the real REO space of real estate. I just went from, lender to all this volume. And then all of a sudden in 2010, 11, it all came to a screeching halt.
Mm-hmm.
I had my own brokerage with 100 agents under me,
Wow.
15 W-2 employees. It was a lot of monthly expense. And I tried to keep those people employed for a long time. And it was tough. And finally I had to just start laying people off. And I waited too long. So I burned through a lot of money. My office brick and mortar back in that day was $15,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can imagine how fast I burned through all that cash.
Sure.
Fast forward to, I guess I'll just fast forward to the last like 6 years. My first when it first stopped the REO, I had never been on a listing appointment in my life ever.
Really interesting.
I had closed over 1,000 real estate transactions as a broker owner, listing broker with REO, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD, Wells Fargo, Chase, pretty much all the big players, to having no business and never been on a listing appointment. That was rough.
Yeah.
Joined Club Wealth, who I'm still with now, 6 years later. Joined Club Wealth, and now, Michael Hellickson, who runs that, I've just really been able to change my game. I learned what I'm going to share with you later, my perfect daily schedule. I learned that any really good salesperson, man or woman, gets up in the morning suited and booted at 7:30 in the morning, and talk a little bit more about what I do at 7:30, but and ready to go for the day, because you never know what the appointment's going to come up. And in this business, it's speed to lead. You got to be there fast before someone else talks to them and then decide to do something with somebody else. So when I came over to EXP, and Michael Hellickson with Club Wealth started helping me, I learned about the perfect daily schedule. And it's prospecting, prospect. So I prospect from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. every morning. When I get up in the morning, there's a lot of things I do, but when 8 o'clock hits and I'm on that phone calling expireds first, because I don't want to call expireds before 8 o'clock in the morning. You'd be surprised how many agents do call before 8 in the morning. And by the time I get to them at 8 in the morning, they're pretty upset, but I do a pretty good job at, calming them down and letting them know what to expect with their expired listing, because a lot of the agents that have that listing prior don't tell that agent what to expect. And it's really a disservice, and it really upsets consumers. So I can see why they're so mad by the time, you call them at maybe 10 a.m. And that's why it's important to call them right at 8.
Yeah.
So from 8 a.m. to till I'm done calling that list of expireds for that day, I'm calling expireds. And then after that, I'm working on my sphere of influence, working on those leads. Being with EXP, we have 3 different clients. We have buyers, sellers, and realtors. So realtors, I hate to say the word prospecting, but I'm really attracting. I'm really just reaching out to realtors. Mostly, I started when I started doing this attraction with EXP. I started reaching out to people that I know, like, and care about, because those are the people that I want to help first and foremost, and those are the people that I don't want to come back to me in 5 years from now and say, "Hey, Jeff, why didn't you tell me about EXP? I see what you're doing all great over there and doing all these things, and gosh, your rev share and your stock is $500,000. Why didn't you share that with me?" So that's another reason I don't want them to be upset with me for holding it and not sharing with them.
For sure. It's a really interesting mentality that you have there, right? Because it's genuine, and I know that this. You're doing it because you want to help somebody. And that's a really different mentality than I think a lot of agents approach that with, right? Because they feel like they're annoying, or they feel like they're having the agent do them a favor. But for you, it's very clear. You're doing them a solid because you want to better position them in a model that's going to really give them the rewards of their efforts, of their career, of everything they build, and make it so that it's something that lasts beyond the transaction. So I love that you're really clear that you are helping them, not the other way around. And that's coming from a place of sincerity and deep within you. So Jeff,
sharing is caring.
Yeah, that's right. And it's awesome, right? Because Jeff, we're actually doing this not on my traditional Monday Mastermind, because my Monday Mastermind is every Monday at 10 a.m. And what you just described to everyone is that that's smack dab in the middle of your prospecting time, that you are not willing, and I appreciate this, but you are not willing to make that adjustment. So let's talk through this a little bit, Jeff.
All right. So just to go through I'm going to go to a different date. There we go. Okay. So this is my typical day. This is let me go and get my pointer out here since we're recording this. Okay. So this is a Monday the 30th. I went out a couple weeks because if I don't, you're going to see all the stuff that gets filled in between all these things, right?
Sure.
But what happens is the blue is personal, right? These are all the things that are personal. Obviously, my miracle morning, I get up at 4:30 most mornings. Miracle morning, that's that Hal, gosh, can't think of the last name. Hal Elroyd, I believe it is. Workout from 5 to 6. Walk Max is our dog. Sometimes Kelly walks him, sometimes I walk him. Shower, breakfast, right? And then affirmations and mediate. Okay. 7 a.m. I'm a member of Club Wealth. They do a huddle every morning with whoever wants to get on. Their coaching clients, I get on that most mornings. That is grayed out because that's an FYI. That's something I may or may not do, right? There are some mornings where Pat Hayes, who's in our group, has a call and some other things. So sometimes I don't do this, but that's why that's yellow. I'm sorry.
In the
That's why
gray.
that's great.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, what's really important to me and my organization of almost 300 agents all over the country and some outside of the US, I have a daily mastermind. This is my daily mastermind. It used to be called our daily huddle. But this is where Kelly, our sales manager, my business partner and fiance, um, we are a captive audience and we get on here for our organization. So if they have any questions or needs um, about anything business related, of course, we're on there and we're a captive audience to help them. I've found that call every morning that we have has really upped everyone's game and keeps people more engaged and more in tune to the market and things that they can do to increase their level of production.
And Jeff, that's a 30-minute mastermind every day.
30-minute mastermind every day. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And we are off right at 8 a.m. Why? Because 8 a.m. is when you should be, if you're a realtor and you're doing prospecting, if you do expireds, and if you don't right now, you really should, because the market's changed a bit. And this right here is one thing that changed my game. This is something that I thought I would never do. I've closed, as I said, well over about 1,500 transactions in my 25 years. I'm not calling expireds. Well, guess what? I'm calling them now. I had this kind of phone phobia. Everybody's afraid of this device here.
Mm-hmm.
And I still, am a little phone phobia, but I use Mojo. It's a three line dialer, and I'm excited to get up really and turn that thing on and start calling, right? And the thing about Mojo is you hit a button and it just starts calling. It doesn't stop. It's just call, boom, 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 boom. And you're talking to people. And our business, you have to talk to at least 100 people a day to really be very, very productive in what we call here at EXP an icon agent,
Mm-hmm.
someone that does production at a very high level. Okay. So 8 a.m. I'm doing prospecting. That usually I can knock that out with Mojo in a half an hour. Single line dialer, calling one by one. And I'd be calling until sometimes 10 a.m., which is too late to call expireds, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's why that's that focus right at 8 a.m. Boom. That's the first type of call that you're making.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
7:59 a.m. is about when I start. There are some agents out there that will start at like 6:30 a.m. I've been told by people that pick up the phone or screaming at me, and like I'm just kind of sickened that realtors or anybody would do that. It's just so it's just so disrespectful, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And it really hurts the rest of us that are following rules and directions and being considerate. Anyway, next one is, my REO clients, REO foreclosures, the banks and stuff like that. They are back east, a lot of them. So I'm going to call them at 8:30, right? Because they're already up at 8:30 their time, or 8:30 my time is 9:30, 10:30, or even sometimes 11:30 their time. Agent attraction, and you notice it says CEO. We are all the CEO of our own business, and that's why I have CEO in there. So CEO, agent attraction, seed planting, that's reaching out to people about EXP and sharing sharing EXP model with them. GeoFarm and Spear, your SOI, Spear of Influence, and my GeoFarm. My GeoFarm is about 650 to 700 households in where I live, right here in Huntington Beach, California. And the Spear are my friends. I have all my friends and colleagues and people that I've and past clients, right? So that's what I'm calling at 9:30. And then 10 a.m. is follow-up. Okay, that's when I am following up with people that I said last week I'll call you on Monday the 30th. People that I just have to follow up with for whatever reason. That's usually outgoing calls to return calls. And really, I learned this again in Club Wealth as well. The fortune is in the follow-up. If you're not using a CRM right now, I'll be honest, I've only been using a CRM for like the last maybe 10 years of my career at the most, very most. I've had a CRM, but I never used it. Having one and using it are two different things. You need to be in your CRM 3, 4, 5, 6 12 times a day, right? That's you using your CRM. If you're not using it, it's just that's something on your desk, right, in your toolbox that you're not using. The fortune is in the follow-up. The having your CRM tap you on the shoulder, remind you to call somebody is imperative. I can tell you, even with using a CRM, I've gotten behind in my follow-up. I've I've seen a seller. Oh shoot, I was supposed to call this seller 2 days ago. Oh man, let me call him. I call him. Guess what? The property's listed, right? Property's
Painful.
listed. $2-3 million property. And then when it closes, because I follow stuff, oh, I see that that same seller's agent that would have been me got both sides. So now instead of a $4 million transaction, it's a $7 million transaction or something like that. So it's the fortune is in the follow-up. Trust me. Use your CRM, use your tasks, and stay caught up with your tasks. Let's see. Oh, and you see, there's Joseph's mastermind. So that's why I miss it, because at 10 a.m. I'm doing my follow-up, right?
That's
But
right.
it's still in my calendar, because if for some reason, I always keep stuff in my calendar. That way I know when it is, because like I said, I mentor a lot of people. I could say, hey, here's Joe Limo's mastermind, and forward them this invite right here. Red. Red is, if this was interactive, I'd be asking questions right now. I'd say, what is red? But I'll tell you, red is basically, red time is stuff where you're not making money.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Interesting.
When you're sending emails or checking voicemail, that's not making you any money necessarily, right? Prospecting and appointments are what's making you money, in sales. So that's the red time. And the reason why it's at 11 and not in here is because if you start doing your emails and checking voicemails, guess what you're never going to get to?
That's right.
You never get to this. Okay. That's why you got to knock this stuff out in the morning first, and then get to your emails and your voicemails and Facebook. Gosh, if you're in Facebook up here, you're going to be in Facebook all morning, and then it's going to be lunch all of a sudden. And speaking of lunch, here's lunch. Blue is personal, just like up here, right? Blue is personal. And then the rest of the day, every day, including Saturdays and Sundays, if I am not prospecting, right? I mean, I'm sorry, this is for appointments. The afternoon's always for appointments. That way, when I'm prospecting, I can always say, hey, during my expires this morning, I can say, hey, Mr. Seller, that's great. Let's meet today. I have 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. available. Which works best for you, right? Typical sales. You always give them 2 options. Don't say, oh, when can we meet? When works best for you? No, I have this day and this day available. Which works best for you, right? Okay. So I know that I always have open time between 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. Okay. Now, if I don't have appointments, then I'm prospecting, right? Oh, and I just started calling expireds in the afternoon too, because a lot of people, at 8 a.m. they're on their way to work or at work and can't answer the phone. So I give it one more shot in the afternoons.
That's awesome.
And then of course you got the rest of the day, which is all my personal stuff. And the stuff that's in capital letters are appointments with myself, right? Nobody's expecting me to be there. If I don't show up for lead follow-up and CRM task reminders, it's not a big deal. So I can at a glance look and see, is this personal or is this money making? Is this admin, the red admin stuff? Yellow, is it really important? Do I have to be there? That's how I can just at a glance check my schedule.
Okay, so a couple of questions for you there, Jeff. As you go through your day, because you mentioned this when we started, you will, like, this is the format of the day in terms of how it's supposed to go. And I'm
Right.
sure for a lot of it, you've been very diligent about making sure that, this lines up with reality. But when there are changes, for example, appointments do come in the afternoon, do you add that to your calendar and do you make those adjustments so that when you're done with the day, it is what actually happened versus the initial intention, for example?
Yeah. So the way Outlook works is, you see the little white marks over here, the empty spots. This is this is available. So like I use Calendly, and Calendly will allow appointments to be set by just about anyone during the time that's open, right? But here, as you can see during prospecting, like if you look at me on Calendly, you'll see that I'm only available Monday through Friday anyway, starting at 1 p.m. and ending at 6 p.m. So yes, appointments get filled in here, and typically only down here. Like if there's an inspection, home inspection or anything, it takes a pretty important, like, I won't say life threatening, but something that's really, really going to move the needle for me to put something in here, right?
Okay.
Like Joseph's been trying to schedule this call with me, and although this is important to me, making money and feeding my family and everything is going to come, going to be a priority to something like this.
For sure.
So that's why that's open. That I think what you said is, one thing I heard you say or ask is my calendar, like if you go to maybe a day, let's say the 6th here, this was, past. Are you saying, do I modify my calendar and show what I actually did? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and the reason behind that is because then, well, my thought is anyway, that gives you an opportunity to go back on a week if you ever need to, or if you start to get sideways on any level, any metric in your business, you could probably come right back here and in the visual, because you color code it, you can start to see a trend potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I do update my calendar with what actually happened.
Awesome. Jeff, couple questions for you on this, because clearly you have, well, let me ask you this. How long did it take you to get into this approach to your business in terms of the regimen? How long did it take you to finally get here where you're pretty clear and you're really, really good at staying on task based on what you decided you wanted to block for?
It's really a work in progress, to be honest. I mean, I always say I got to practice what I preach. I do practice this on a very regular basis. It took me, it's like, I'm not sure how long it takes to make something a habit. Forget the actual number, but you just got to keep doing something over and over and over, and then it becomes a habit. It is a habit for me now. I'm not gonna lie, I do deviate a little bit unintentionally, but I've got Kelly, who is my business partner, fiance, as I mentioned, and she will get on me if she sees an email go out sometime before 11 a.m. from me, a response or just an email originate from me. She's on the phone, or we use Microsoft Teams. Like, why aren't you prospecting? And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I should be prospecting, and I put it away. I don't know, because when you're prospecting, you'll see stuff that comes up, and it triggers something else about email, and I'll go to check it, and then I'm like, nope, I shouldn't. Your email should be turned off, and your phone should be turned off when you're prospecting. I mean, at least the ringer. Any inbound calls, don't answer it. Voicemails, don't check it. Emails, don't check it. It can wait. If it is that urgent, you will know about it, right?
And so I would imagine, like, let's say whenever this started, 9 months ago, 6 months ago, whenever you really decided, like, I'm going to operate based on this calendar, what did week one look like for you? I'm curious. What did that look like? The first approach at this regimen of a schedule.
It didn't look good. It looked like some days I was doing it, some days I wasn't. It got stuff every half an hour for the most part from 8 o'clock, and it just wasn't happening the way it should. It took me, a good 2-3 months to
Okay.
get it really dialed in. And like I said, it's not perfect yet. And Club Wealth calls it the perfect daily schedule, PDS. Nothing's perfect, but you just got to get it as perfect as possible, because that's what's going to really make you rise to the top and get your production levels up.
So Jeff, what would you advise an agent who maybe doesn't have a real clear approach to what their day should look like, when they should be doing certain things to make sure their business is on track or moving forward? What are some key things of advice you can give in terms of how to get started? And what are some of the integral pieces of your calendar that matter in terms of your business growth or your income that you want to achieve?
So I'm going to share the Club Wealth link because it's public.
Sure.
How to set up your perfect daily schedule, but it's one of the things that you need to do. One of the first things it tells you to do is you need to, throughout every day, in 15-minute increments, write down what you're doing. So
okay.
at night, it's 11:24 right now. So at 11:30, write down what you're doing. Okay, from 11:30 to 11:45. then write down from 11:45 to 11 or 12 what you're doing, and so on. Do that for 2 weeks. Okay. And then go back and look at it. And you will see how much you did not get done. You feel like you did a lot, but what you did is you did a lot of jumping around back and forth to different things, and you didn't spend enough time on any one task to get anything done, right? So that was really eye-opening for me when I did that. And I recommend that if you have, an admin working for you or anybody like that, that's one of the first things that you do to try and identify, what's going on, and kind of show yourself in writing, wow, I'm all over the place, right? And then set up your schedule similar to mine, right? You'd probably be a little bit different, but prospecting and follow-up, 8 to 10 prospecting, follow-up 10 to 11, anything, and then 11 to 12 that's when you're checking your voicemails, that's when you're checking your emails, that's when you're doing all that. So my advice is to just do the analysis as to what you're doing every half an hour, 15 minutes to a half an hour. There's even apps for that out there, right? Where it'll actually put it in a spreadsheet. That's what I use because I'm a gadget freak. But anyway, do that, and then set your perfect daily schedule up, and then live by it. Shut your email off, shut your phone off, shut everything off you need to shut off, and make sure that when that timer goes off, ding, 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 at, like for me, at 8:30, that's when I start working on my REO stuff, right? My prospecting for default and REO. So people that are in default or banks, that's who I'm calling at that time.
So Jeff, you said it took about 2 to 3 months to kind of get where you really were starting to hit stride with this shift in your business in terms of your calendar. A lot of people wouldn't see that through for 2 or 3 months, and I know a lot of agents who have tried this, and often the mentality is it doesn't work. Like this just doesn't work to be this regimented. What were some things that allowed you to see yourself through to actually land where you're on task now and you're really implementing this? Because that's a long period of time. And you and I both know a lot of people, okay, not agents specifically, just people in general, they're going to lose their confidence, their willpower to see it through. So what were some things that help you during that time?
Just, I guess, knowing that all top producers have their prospecting in the morning. I mean, I've heard stories of, when I was at one real estate company, there was a very, very successful real estate broker woman. She does probably $200 million a year. And I remember him saying she shuts her door to her staff and everybody else, and unless there is a fire that you can't handle, and I mean literally a fire, right? Fire trucks, everything, do not bother me, right? And they respect that. They don't bother. And the actual broker of record walked into her office once, and she turned around and said, "Go, you gotta go." I see that top producers, they're the ones that are following something very similar to this perfect daily schedule that I've shared, where prospecting happens in the morning. You knock that out. You don't wait till the afternoon, or it won't happen. And one of the things too I see is agents will schedule inspections or meetings and things that you need to schedule around you, because when you schedule something that's not prospecting in your mornings, you might as well take a couple $100 out of your pocket and give that to that person, because they're taking money, not intentionally, you're allowing them to. They're taking money out of your pocket. You need to control your schedule, not have your schedule control you.
Ooh, that's great. Absolutely. And so, Jeff, it sounds like there's a couple of really key pieces in what you've said so far. One, sounds like starting like a prerequisite to doing this is account for what you're doing now. And if it helped me understand if I'm off on this, but it sounds like the idea is to really take account for where you spend your time, and then lining that up with what your intentions are for your business or your goals or the metrics that you want to hit. Are they in alignment or are they off? Is that kind of the original thought of why we do that to begin with?
Absolutely, 100%.
Awesome.
Right, because you've got to be. Another thing too is when you do your business plan, I want to make $100,000 a year. Okay, in order to do that, this is what's going to get you there. And if you look at that, you look at all the calls that you're going to need to make and all the contacts you're going to need to make, which are going to get you the appointments. I mean, like 100 calls, right, a day. is going to get you 10 conversations, typically on average, and one appointment. And I look at all the agents that are making, 10 calls or 20 calls or 30 calls, or that agent that's making 95 calls. And one of those last 5 calls was that appointment, and they're missing it because they're not being consistent. They're not following the scope of work, so to speak.
Wow, that's powerful, man. I appreciate that. And it also sounds like you knowing what the end result would look like is what helped you get through the tunnel, right? Like the hard part of getting started and not necessarily either seeing the results immediately or not seeing that you're able to accomplish this day one, but it was your ability to see from others what this looks like when it's accomplished.
Right.
That was helpful. It sounds like.
And just to be frank, the other part was seeing what it's going to look like, like in this where we're at right now in real estate. 1 out of 3 realtors are going to be leaving real estate, right? Out of real estate because they just couldn't make it. I'm not going to be one of those 3. And I have I live a very high lifestyle, and it's a lot of people. Your why is very important, whatever that may be. But one of my biggest whys is I want to continue my current lifestyle. So I know what it looks like if I don't up my game.
And then another piece, it sounds like it was something that makes sense in terms of how you operate your business, but there is a high level of accountability with you and Kelly. And that's something that you are intentional about, it seems. And that seems to have been another piece of your really well put together approach to this.
Yeah. Having an accountability partner is helpful. My coach had me paying Kelly's car payment when I deviated from my calls. So if I was caught doing something other than my prospecting, I had agreed, and that's anytime that month, right? So 30 days, one of those days, 1 out of 30, or I don't prospect 7 days a week. So let's call it 1 out of 20 days or 20 some odd days, I don't prospect that I said I was going to prospect. I have to make her car payment, right? Her car payment is close to $1,000 a month. So it's got to be something that hurts, right? A lot of coaches will do that. If you don't do this, then you're going to write a check to the politicians that you don't like, whichever side you don't like, you're going to write a check to support them. If you're a Republican, you're going to write a check to Democrats for $1,000, something, and depending on how much their income is, maybe 10,000, right? It's got to hurt. It can't be like, if you told me to write a check to Kelly or anybody for $100 if I didn't prospect, I probably wouldn't prospect. Right. Because it's not enough to hurt. So it's important that you have accountability partner, and maybe, something that you've got to do if you don't stay on track.
Sounds like an emotional charge to it is part of that dynamic, right? And that's kind of interesting, like the gamification of it almost, where that means Kelly's going to keep an extra close eye, and she's eager to find you not doing it almost, right? Because now it's like, awesome, write me a check, buddy.
Yeah. I had written my coach actually a check for $10,000. 10,000.
Whew.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that probably is part of what got me going, to be honest, now that I think about it, because there were some checkpoints in there that I was like, okay, I have to do this.
So Jeff, you are a REO agent, as you started, that literally did thousands of real estate transactions before even going on a listing appointment. So I can see what you're talking about in terms of the gap of like what most agents do to build a business versus what you've accomplished without having to go through a lot of that, just based on the, really the genius approach that you had when you entered the industry and where the market was at the time. So with that said, it makes sense that there was some call hesitation when you show up to your life and you're like, I'm going to start prospecting for sale by owners and expireds. Oh, that's going to look a little different now. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, and you said there's still some phone phobia there, because I think a lot of people, when they talk about that subject, it's like, get over it. Well, that's cute. Of course, if everyone could just get over it, everyone would have gotten over it. And you even said you're not necessarily over it, but what do you do what did you do to get started with the fact that that was there? And what do you do now that there's still some hesitation or angst around it?
So it's funny, like you say, I went from, just getting this stuff. I was blessed getting these listings, right? I would go to Vegas, literally, and I would, while I'm playing blackjack or whatever, I'm getting emails from Freddie Mac. Oh, you got a new listing. Oh, new assignment, new assignment. I get like 12 listings sitting there playing blackjack, right? And then come back, and I mean, that was amazing. But I was blessed, right? Now
I
fast
want to
forward
do
to,
that prospecting with you, Jeff. Let's go do that.
yeah, right. Fast forward to today, the call reluctance. It's just, part of the biggest call reluctance is I the people are just so upset by the time you call them at 8 a.m. a lot of time, and I don't want to scare anybody away, but so upset when you call. By the time you call them, they're just angry at you, and they tell you these really nasty things. Like, I'm talking like "f you" or
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff, and it's like, man, and why do you keep calling me? Well, this is my first call. I mean, but because I'm very my mom told me not to get into real estate 25 years ago. She said, Jeff, you're just too shy, and you don't like rejection. And she's right. The shy part, not as much as I used to be, but they don't like rejection. And it's hard when someone tells you, no, or tells you, hey, F you.
Yeah.
Right. So I've just like Mojo has two things have helped me. Haas Pratt, who I think I saw a Haas Pratt presentation, somebody in my leadership here at EXP, it was Pat Hayes, and he has these 10 different recordings that are him calling expireds, and people telling him to, hey, screw you, and then him picking up the phone and calling that same person back and talking to them and converting them, and just listening to that, some live calls. I still have not done role playing with somebody else. Anybody interested in doing it? I'd love to get that going, because there's never really a script. The problem with the script is the other person on the other end of the phone doesn't have it. But I guess, just to answer your question, Joseph, just knowing that I don't want to be that broke agent or that agent that gets out of the business because they just can't, get through the day to day and close transactions and make money. That's one of the biggest things, that the fear of the fear of losing my livelihood is one of the things that really keeps me going.
So if I'm hearing this correctly, then for you, the approach or the way to look at it for you was, what hurts worse? And so picking up that phone call or making that call hurts far less than what the other result would be by not doing so.
Yeah, 100%.
That's awesome.
And I think a lot of people should keep that in mind, because I see so many agents, I mean, that don't close even 2 deals a year, that are still in the business. And it's like, why are you still in the business? I mean, I don't mean to offend anybody that's not closing any more than that, but I mean, this is a tough business, and you've really got to treat your business like a business. And like Robert Whitekill always says, for those that know him, it works if you do.
Yeah. Yep. That's a statement he says often. And the way he says it with conviction, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because, and that's, you're a testament to that, Jeff. Like, everyone in real estate from day one knows you can call expired and canceled. Someone that has done thousands of transactions and years later getting started in that, like, it works if you do. But man, and this is one of the reasons, Jeff, why I really admire you. And I want you to know that, because you set aside your ego. And that's a difficult thing for a lot of people to do. We all have an ego, right? Where it's like, man, I've already done 1,000 real estate transactions. I know asset managers galore and they love and adore me. Why am I going to call some FISBO and let this person tell me off? So the fact that you shed your ego to move forward and just do what's needed for your family, that's power, man. And I love that I get to be around you to see that. And I think that's why your team grows so well as well. I'm interested to know about what you have set up in the morning as far as Club Wealth and your call. How does that prepare you for 8 a.m.? Are there certain things in there that you look forward to every day? Or I guess to extract out for other agents, A, get with Jeff and be on something like that so you can learn from him. But if for whatever reason they're not available to do that with you, What did what is it about those couple of things in the morning that prepare you so they could find the same?
Yeah. So again, I'm up, I'm showered, I'm suited and booted. I'm ready to go by 7 a.m., right? Ready to go. Like I could go out on a listing appointment and be somewhere at 7:30 if I had to. Um, the Club Wealth is great because that is something that they mastermind all the time. What's nice too about Club Wealth is they allow me as a Club Wealth client to share that masterminding with people in my organization. So
Wow.
everybody in my organization has access to it, which I don't know why everybody doesn't take advantage of it. Maybe some don't know about it. I don't know, but man, I'm paying $3,000 a month for this, right?
Wow.
And I'm able to share it, and a lot of people are taking advantage of it. But anyway, so that 7 a.m. call with Club Wealth really prepares me because there's so much masterminding going on and sharing, collaboration. I mean, it's huge, right? And then, of course, my call, you know, anybody that coaches or mentors probably knows this, but when you coach or mentor, you are actually learning too, because the more times you're coaching it or mentoring, whatever it is, you learn from it, right? And I feel like the more and more I do that, the more and more I actually get out of it too. So, and being able to help those people, whether it's on the Club Wealth call, people that, are just colleagues throughout the country, or it's on my huddle mastermind at 7:30 every morning, where I'm actually helping people, and I do have a financial alignment with those people. But at the same time, even if I didn't have that, I would be helping people because I love to help people.
Jeff, I'm super interested to know, like, when people call for sale by owners expireds, those can be challenging calls for all the reasons you've already mentioned, right? It's competitive. Um, for a lot of them, there's a reason why they weren't working with an agent to begin with. So there's a lot to work through in some of those phone calls. What is it about your value proposition, or what you know about yourself, that gives you that confidence to penetrate some of those barriers and those walls to engage these folks? Because you're winning with this. You've had multi-million-dollar listings that we've
Yeah.
talked about based on a morning phone call that you made. So you're getting through. What did you find within that helped you to have that confidence and actually the value that they saw in you as well? What is that?
I would just say confidence. I would say, my experience, but experience, you can use other people's experience if you're a newer agent. I mean, you fake it till you make it, right?
Mhm.
I mean, well, quite frankly, I'm a brand new agent. If you think about it, I mean, I'm not brand new, but I mean, all of most of my experience was REO.
Mhm.
My traditional transaction count is not nearly as high as my REO count. So I'm a newer agent, but it's just having the confidence, masterminding with all these people, and learning all these things that I've learned. I mean, people fail forward. People tell me all these things that have worked and don't work. And I know all those things. So when I sit down with a seller, I can convert that seller. They love me. They know they want to list with me because they know I'll do the best job out of anybody that they hire. The hardest part, like with expired invisibles, is getting in front of them, though, right? Because once you get me in front of somebody, my close rate's probably at least at 80 to 85% close rate, right? But if I'm don't get the opportunity to get in front of them, it's like a 5 to 10%, and that goes true for a lot of people. So just the numbers game, getting them on the phone and talking to you, because that's the hardest thing, getting them to pick up an expired or even a FSBO for that matter. They don't pick up. It's like, I don't know how the heck they're going to sell their
Yeah.
home. Anyway, but it's just having the confidence is big, and really it's a numbers game, right? It's like my first expired listing was, they picked up, and he talked to me, and I kept him on the phone because I know as soon as he hangs up, somebody else is going to be calling and talking to him. So I
Yep.
got the appointment. Literally, I'll tell you a quick. Do I have time for a quick story?
Of course,
Okay.
please.
So Saturdays and Sundays are the best days to call expireds, right? I'll just tell you that right now.
Wow.
Why? Because most realtors aren't calling. Most realtors are sleeping or doing whatever. They're not working on weekends. So it was on April Fool's Day. I remember it was on April 1st, and I was getting in the shower at like 7:30, 7:45, and I went, "Oh crap! Today's the first of the month, and it's the
Ah,
Saturday." First of the month, because when do listings expire often?
at
End
the
of
end
the
of the
month.
month.
first of the month is there are hundreds of expires, right? So and it was a Saturday it fell on too. So I got out of the shower, not even done, threw on my robe, came down, got on my computer at my home office and started calling. Talked to a guy. He says, "Hey, my home's vacant. I'm from out of town. I'd love to talk to you." I said, okay. I told him, "Hey, a bunch of realtors are going to call you, and I gave him the whole thing. Told him I have kind of not a script, but something I go through with sellers. Um, and I literally finished getting ready, got back to the shower, went and met this guy at like 9 a.m.
Mhm.
and got the listing. Boom,
Wow.
got the listing. So it's just it's numbers. You have to call, get as many contacts as you can, and get the appointment, get the appointment, get the appointment. If I had, by the way, if I had made that appointment for the next day or 2 days later, do you think I would have got that listing?
Probably not.
Probably not. Right?
Yep.
It's got to be right now. You don't screw around. You got to do it right now.
So Jeff, so pro tip right there, right? That's a huge one. Weekends, especially if a weekend is the first of the month, like boom, that's golden hour right there. What does your Saturday and Sunday look like? Is it also 8 to 11, or is it truncated on any level?
My Saturday and Sunday looks like this. So Saturday, oops, let me see here. Oh, come on. There,
There it
okay.
is.
No, that's not it either. What the heck's going on here? Let me go back a month. I think I need to check out my calendar. I think something got messed up. Something did. Yeah, well, I'll just tell you. So on my Saturday and Sunday, I usually will start prospecting at 9. I wait till 9 on that. Okay, because I want to let people sleep. I've had too many people scream at me and tell me it's too early in the morning. I know that legally we can call it 8, but I don't want to be that guy. So I wait till 9 on the weekends. And I call my expireds, obviously, first on the weekends at 9. And then, it's usually just catching up on some other stuff. And in the afternoons, it's appointments. I'll go by open houses to go prospect for agents, right?
Yep. Okay.
Because the agents that are out there holding open houses, those are the agents that I want to work with, because those are the agents that are actually working. They know what it takes to be a great agent. So I'm looking for, and they're usually newer agents. I mean, like for me, I only hold the first open house open, the debut, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for what? As a
The
listing agent.
sellers. You're looking for other
Sellers, right?
listings.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm doing that with Kelly or somebody on my team the first time. After that, it's the buyer's agents. But those agents that are out there, those are the agents that I want to work with. So, and then I don't work every weekend. I mean, I do work honestly like 80 hours a week, both Kelly and I. And some weeks we work both days. Like this weekend, we're working Saturday and Sunday, but we try not to do it too often because you can burn out.
Yep. Hey, that's a great point. I mean, we have to sustain our ability to keep showing up, and we're doing all this for a reason. You started with it. It's your lifestyle. It's the life that you and Kelly created that you guys enjoy so much. If you shut that down, what's the purpose of showing up anymore, right? So I think that's a
Yeah.
valid thing for people to hear from someone like you who's so regimented in their calendar. Like, also make sure that you are recharging the batteries, taking time away, and just staying in that place of being really happy with your life in totality.
Yeah. And we both really love what we do. I mean, on my website, my slogan is "We love what we do for you,"
Oh, that's
and I
great.
mean it. It's great. So we're not coming to sell your house or sell you a house. We're coming to get into your life and figure out what is it that you want to do, what's going to make you happy, and ready when you are too, not pushy like a lot of salespeople are. And we
Yeah,
probably lose business from not being pushy, but I'd rather lose business than be pushy.
Jeff, it's interesting. I think that a lot of agents they miss this part, but you're spot on. In my opinion, we have a tremendous opportunity to be a part of someone's journey, their life, a big milestone. We should really treat that as the honor that it is.
Yeah, huge. Yep,
Yep.
100%. And the honor is a key word.
Yeah. Yep. And I know
I'm
that
honored
that's
to
true for
interview
you.
with people, right? Even if I don't get the listing, I'm honored that they considered me.
That's a really great way to look at things, so that way you don't walk away. You mentioned it before. You are someone who doesn't like rejection. So you know how to approach that. Even if you don't get the listing, you don't feel rejected. You feel honored that they considered you. And
Mhm.
and I think that that's another important piece. I want people to watch this and find those little tidbits, because it is that fear of getting rejected. It is that fear of getting yelled at. It is that fear of, you know, going 4 and 5, maybe weeks of calls and no result, right? The way to change that, though, it sounds like for you, Jeff, is that you changed what the win is. Because most agents go, I'm going to call to get a listing sold,
Yeah,
right? And it's like, no, you gotta change what the win looks like, or else you will be dejected way too soon to see this thing through.
yeah,
Yep.
100%. And consistent. And again, weekends are the best. And I was just in Dallas at an REO conference this past week, and we arrived on a Saturday. The conference started on a Monday, or actually Sunday. And it was Saturday. I literally in my hotel room, sitting on my bed with my laptop open, calling expireds. I mean, it was 10 a.m. my time in Dallas, but it was 8 I'm sorry, it was 11 a.m. my time in Dallas, but 9 a.m. here in California. So I'm going through and doing my calls, because that could have been the day where someone, said, "Hey, Jeff, yeah, I'd like you to come, meet with me." And I'm not going to miss that opportunity, because I know it takes 100 calls to get one appointment on average.
I can even speak from a place of experience. I've seen Jeff in his FBI mobile. It's a beautiful Cadillac. It's gorgeous. And that shaded window comes down, and there's Jeff's, happy smile. He'll light up any room. We were outside and still lit up the world. But there was the laptop, the calls, and I'm like, man, this guy is really on it, because you had to drive probably a good hour 30 minutes. And that
Mhm.
wasn't just wasted time in the car. You were still grinding. So I know from a place of experience that you are, these aren't just words. This is your reality, and it's awesome.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Jeff, real quick, I'm curious to know, you call agents consistently, almost daily. Well, it sounds like daily. What are you saying to them? Like, what's your engagement with agents? I'm just interested in your approach.
Honestly, I just tell them, "Hey, you're a great agent. I've heard a lot about you, or I've been watching you. I don't why haven't you partnered with EXP already?"
Okay.
Um, I mean, that's something literally I do I do Facebook birthdays, right?
Yep.
Everybody should be, if they're not, wishing all their Facebook friends on their birthday. I've been doing that for years now, and if they're an agent, I have a canned message. Offhand, it basically just says, "Hey, I see you're a great agent. Why have you considered partnering with EXP yet?" Right? And I've brought on 4 agents
Wow.
from that, because it just starts conversation, right? And then
Hmm.
we meet. I have another one today, so that'd be 5 if the person comes on. I have a lot of them that meet with me. Some of them, have whatever they want to come, or they come later, or I don't stay sticky with them and they come under someone else. But that's fine as long as they come over, because I know it's going to be amazing for them and their business and their legacy. So yeah, I do the Facebook. I also, what I'm going to be switching that over to is I'm going to have a VA pull the birthdays, load those into my CRM, put a task in my CRM for me to call them, or at least reach out to them 7 days prior to their birthday. "Hey, I know your birthday is coming up next week, but I just want to be the first to wish you a happy birthday." Right? Because
Huge.
otherwise, you know how many birthday wishes, happy birthdays you get, right, on your birthday.
Yep.
You don't remember who wished you happy birthday for the most part, right? Maybe the first one in the morning, and I try and do that, by the way, too. But anyway, we're switching it over to 7 days prior. I'm going to pick up the phone depending on how close I am, or send them a message 7 days in advance. And we do it on LinkedIn too. I just started doing LinkedIn. So
Pro tip right
that's,
there.
yeah. So that's some of the things I'm doing. I haven't been attracting as much as I should be. I need to get back on that. And really, when I attract, I feel like, just like with a seller, I know that when I sell someone's home that wants to sell their home, I'm going to get the most money for that house. They're going to have the best experience. I mean, they're going to be so happy they chose me. And that's why I have so many, 5-star reviews. The same thing with agents. If they're gonna love EXP. I mean, there's not very many people. There's a small percentage of people that don't love EXP, and most of those
Hmm.
people are people that don't produce, right, or don't produce at least a higher level. And when I say higher level, like, more than a handful of transactions a year. those people I understand to some extent, but anybody else, I mean, it just makes all the sense in the world to be here.
Yeah. Particularly with what we have going on with the group that we're with, right? Because we have
Yeah.
24 coaches. We have people who genuinely care, that mastermind consistently, that work together, that collaborate, that share secrets and tips. I think that, and Jeff, you're a major staple in this, but the people that we have in terms of caliber of their business production, the caliber of who they are as a human being, I would put us up against anybody. And I know that when people come here, two things are going to happen. One, they're going to get what they came for, and two, like you said, Jeff, we did them a service, and that's what we show up for every day, right? We make sure that when we show up for our agents, we're doing it in a way where we feel proud of what our accomplishments are, or what our efforts were to support them.
Yeah, they're going to get what they came for and then some.
Yeah.
And I'm a certified mentor, right? So I mentor newer agents that come into EXP, and I've had some. The organization you align yourself with and put yourself under, it makes a huge difference. I've had some mentees that after being a mentee for 3 to 6 months, and working with us, seeing all the things in our organization that we do for people here at EXP in our organization, and being a part of those huddles and all that. Well, when they graduate, right, after they've sold the required amount of properties, they're like, well, can I still attend your huddles, Jeff? Can I still do this or that? And the answer is no, unfortunately, because it would be a disservice to the people that are in our organization for me to take the time to work with somebody that's not in our organization, right? Because that's stealing time. Time is money from people that are in my organization. So it really is a good feeling, though, at the same time, because I think, man, we're doing an amazing job. All these other agents from these organizations want to get into our organization and can't. So it's a really good feeling to know that we're really going above and beyond for our people.
The other part that I really love about how we've approached this thing, Jeff, is that we are designed to help an agent scale, like legitimately. For example, my program, brand new agent, right? You mentor them, which is a very different thing than actually putting them through a coaching program. And I think a lot of agents will need both to be successful, and that's great. But when I can take a brand new agent and build them from like 0 to 6 figures, right? Like we've established the foundation of their business. And once they've really hit stride there, there's a lot more to go. Then the goal is, I want to be on Jeff Russell's level. And we have that ability to take an agent through their career path and continue to scale that growth, because they may start with me, and then in the future, they're going to end up with you, because there's always a new ceiling. There's always a new goal. There's always a new way to grow. And we've kind of designed our coaching to make sure that no matter where an agent starts, we know where to get them to the next step. And we've always got, the future ahead of us, which is awesome.
Yeah, 100%.